Welcome to the LA Story Podcast with Stevie Wilson.
Hey people, this is Stevie for the LA Story, and I've been covering some things about DIY, and given how the economy's going, and actually it's getting yourself together in terms of doing things yourself rather than hiring it out, gives you a lot more satisfaction in doing and accomplishing things around your house or whatever it is you're doing. We've got DIY expert Kristan Cunningham here to tell us all the scoop on what's cooking and what's hot right now. So good morning, Kristan. How are you?
So great. Nice to talk to you. Thanks for having me.
I'm very glad to have you today. DIY can be intimidating and daunting for lots of people.
Yeah.
I have a tendency to jump in and then find out, oops.
You took on too much?
Or I didn't have everything.
Yes. It can be, and I think that the intimidation, the daunting quality of DIY is what keeps people from making their homes represent them more, because we all really have access to making our homes be the best reflection of us and our personalities. And again, it is sometimes the intimidating aspect of getting it all together, keeping it all organized, knowing what to do. My rule of thumb is always, as long as you're safe and you wear safety goggles if you're cutting things, or, that you should really be willing to take on anything. But you're absolutely right. Getting halfway into a project and realizing that you don't have the tools that you needed or all the stuff is what, for some people, makes it frustrating and makes them less likely to take on more projects. I live in Los Angeles. My mom lives in Georgia. So right now I'm helping her with her screened-in patio, and we're doing the whole thing online because I'm her designer daughter that lives across the country. And the saving grace has been, I just set up an account if you go to Lowe's.com, you can set up a My Lowe's account. It takes 2 minutes to set it up, but the idea is that once you have it, you have all these files, inspiration galleries, wish lists, products that you intend to buy. But you can also make a file with all the products that you need for this paint treatment that you're taking on. Or, you're going to build a deck. Here's how many pieces of lumber you need. Here's a file with all your measurements. Here's receipts of your last trip so that you remember which lumber you bought last time. So the idea is that it streamlines the whole process. Everything is in one place for you. And at least it's that whole layer of frustration that gets a bit alleviated. And in this case with my mom, I've been able to share files with her and kind of say, this is what I'm leaning toward, what are you thinking? She can then go look at it in the store, but it's all in one place. So I think that's part of it, helping people figure out how to get the daunting aspect of it done. But the next part is, take on as much as you feel comfortable doing and push just a little bit. When I started on Design on Dime a decade ago, they hired me and then said, and you sew, right? And I said, of course I do. And I bought a sewing machine that night. The idea was that we were doing on the air what we were hoping would be inspiring to most Americans who had limited skill sets, and we learned as we went along. So I think that no matter what the project is, as long as the creativity and the passion is there, your home is your home. It's the most expensive thing any of us own. It's the place that we sink the most money into. It's the place that we sink the most time into. But it's also the place that we live. It's our sanctuary. It's the most important place on earth to us. So as long as the ideas are there and you know what you want your home to be, I say push yourself a little bit, but most projects that are impactful are super doable for people with very limited skill sets. And the thing that I always say is paint. Paint is going to give you the biggest bang for your buck every time, no matter what. It never fails. And the nice thing about paint is that, the color of the year is that flame orange right now, that really intense red orange. So if that's the color of the year, do one paint treatment where maybe you incorporate a single stripe or go full-blown wall. But the idea is when people walk in, you're super on trend. You got it. You know what's going on. And if next year that's not the color, it's a simple thing to change. But paint is something that whether you don't have to be an artist to do an insane, awesome paint treatment, and you don't have to be an artist to do something like paint your front door, which can have more impact than really anything else you can do from the front of your house. So that's the most important thing. Pick things that are going to have impact, that are not intimidating to actually execute. Paint is always going to be easy. With the front door idea, I say, especially if you live on a house where I'm sorry, especially if you live on a block where all of the houses are the same color, you've got one shot for people walking down the street to say, oh, I bet the Cunninghams live there, or, somebody fabulous lives in that house because they've got a canary yellow door with a really great, turquoise planter below it. You have such an opportunity with that one spot to make a statement, and it's literally as easy as a can of paint. So my biggest advice for people who find the process of DIY daunting is say start with paint. That's gonna get you so much impact right out the gate.
Right, and because you can go into different places, and you can go to places like Lowe's, which is funny that you mentioned that, because when we were doing this house and we were painting and doing everything, that was my go-to place.
Yeah.
If I wanted something creative and I spent more time there, I would
Well, because it is truly a design center. It's a hardware store that's also kind of a design center. I mean, you have amazing light fixtures and amazing hardware. You've got real design elements to choose from, and being surrounded by products is inspiring. Sometimes I don't even know what my project's going to be until I've gone to Lowe's and seen 5 other things, and kind of come home and say, oh, now that I know that this light fixture exists, or that I can add that handle to this tray, whatever. But point is, it's seeing things that helps inspire ideas.
Exactly. Because I was really surprised at how, when I was looking at door handles, and God knows for cabinets, how expensive they can get.
Yeah.
But I found some amazing things that were very affordable, and light fixtures and all that good kind of stuff. And it is one of those things that you sit there and you have to break the project down into small bites, because otherwise you will kind of go a little nuts.
But you've got it. You figured out the secret. And that it truly is. It's about compartmentalizing and being organized going into it. You're going to have more fun, and the results are going to be better if you spend the time on the back end, or on the front end. Really preparing for your projects.
Right.
I think that's the important thing. And I think, again, paint is going to give you such impact, but it's important, again, to know what your limits are, or what you're really capable of achieving in an hour or a weekend, and how much time you're willing to set aside. But there are so many things that you can do in an hour that are going to have tremendous impact. Add paint to your stair risers. When somebody walks in your house, if that's an architectural detail, if that's something that's different from every other house on the block, that's really going to resonate when people walk in the front door. It's as we go into summer, we all want our homes to feel as good a representation of us as possible, because we're going to be having people over more this time of year than ever. So it's this is the moment that people should be saying, you know what, if I'm going to tackle projects, I'm going to do it right now.
Yes, and even just putting flowers out in front of your, in your yard, or in a planter or something like that, can make such a difference both inside and outside.
Yep, and that's key. Impact. Choose one great container with one simple planting. Done. In an hour, you have something that really, really has impact.
Okay, so if people had more questions or needed to, where would they go online?
So
obviously,
this is it. So go to Lowe's.com, and then you set up a My Lowe's account. It literally takes 2 minutes. And once you set up the account, everything you have lives online. The best part, too, is if you're at Lowe's and you forgot to look at your file before you went, in Lowe's you can pull it all up on your smartphone. So one way or another, everything you need is all in one place, and it takes 2 minutes to enter your information and set up your account. It'll change your life, I promise.
I love it. I love it. And if somebody had a question they wanted to ask you, where would they find you?
I have to think about that. KristanCunningham.com.
Ah, that's so easy.
Yes,
that's
actually,
so easy.
info@KristanCunningham.com for actual questions.
Okay.
Yes.
People, we would like to thank Kristan Cunningham for her amazing array of ideas. She really has all the scoop. And you need to go visit her website and go check that out. And I like the part that you just jumped in and decided to learn how to sew by buying the sewing machine, because that's kind of the thing I do.
It's sink or swim.
I love it. So we'd like to thank Kristan for her time today. And people, go check out Lowe's.com. Go check out Lowe's. There's a ton of stuff there. God knows I spent enough time there. This is Stevie for the LA Story saying see you soon, people. Bye.
Thanks for joining Stevie Wilson on LA Story. Feel free to check out other podcasts and videos. Bookmark it now. www.la-story.com.